Hey guys, so I recently came across this project called Wayuu Mochila, and I'd never heard of that before, which doesn't happen to me too often. So I love doing color work and it seemed like fun, so I wanted to try it. Now the word Wayuu comes from the tribe, I believe it's in northern Colombia, who originated doing this. And I don't know if Mochila is the bag shape or if it's the patterns that they're using, like the name for the designs. I know the women make a lot of these bags, and the more creative their designs are, the more wise and creative the women are seen. So it looked like fun to do. I'm doing a pretty simple one today because I haven't done it before. And I've actually already started, but I wanted to show you guys the work that goes into a project like this before you start. So just yesterday I finally found a graph paper notebook. So I'll be able to keep all my project designs and patterns in here. Now I went on Pinterest and there's lots of patterns and charts you can do. But before you start putting anything together, unless the pattern is complete, like the whole thing all together, you're going to want to draw it out first. I've decided to do this. I'm not sure if I'll do the colors exactly right. When you're doing a pattern like this, you want to draw out everything and find how many stitches it takes to repeat the pattern. So this takes me 26 stitches from get to one point, the exact same point. That's the repeat. Now the other one I wanted to do in this was this pattern. Now I chose this because I could space it out and adjust it and it would be easier to make match up. So I put 3 stitches in here. Gives me 5, 6, 7, 8, a repeat of 8. And if I do that 13 times, it gives me 104 stitches. Now the first one had a repeat of 26, so I can do 104 stitches. Now this, I'm going to do 3 of these, but it's going to be 8 spaces, 8 spaces, and 7 spaces. And that was why I did this with a separator, so 104 stitches. And this is going to be on the bottom here too. I'm about halfway down the bottom of it here, and you can kind of see the teal and the peach a little bit. But the reason I'm putting it in the bottom is when you do it with the threads on here, it kind of bulks your stitches up, and I want them to be the same size on the bottom as on the sides of the bag. You want to make sure that you're keeping them snug. You can kind of pull them a little bit as you go to make sure you don't have any little loopies sticking out. There's kind of one there. I've gotten my base to 104 stitches, and I think it's a good size. It's about what I wanted. But I realized if I put the whole pattern that I wanted on here, it's going to come out like 2 feet tall. So I've adjusted my pattern, and I'm not going to do this part. I'm just going to do this, but I've made it smaller. You can see behind. And that'll put it about the length that I want. I could do the full pattern if I doubled all my numbers to 208 stitches, and that would put it closer to a full-size bag, but I want to keep it little. I did a couple of rows, so you're going along, and when you're ready to change colors, so I have it here, and I want this next stitch to be white. So instead of using the peach color to finish my stitch here, I'm going to do the white one. And I try each time I change color to kind of snug everything up, pull through what I need to, make sure it's all lined up. So just this one coming out of the top is the white, because that's going to be the one that lays down on the top of the next stitch. So that keeps you from kind of having that peachy piece pushed over your white stitch. It just makes it look a little cleaner. So that's 1, 2, I want 3 white stitches here. 3, so I've got 1, 2, I'm in the middle of the 3rd, and I'm going to switch back to the peach. And if you have, it can be a little awkward to kind of hold these down. So if you have trouble with it, especially if you're doing a long piece without changing color, you can take some bobby pins and just sort of pin that down. I'll kind of keep it lined up and it'll be a little bit easier for you. Okay, so I'm ready to put the holes in for the drawstring. I ended up doing the smaller pattern and I could have put 4 in it, but oh well. From what I can tell, the way these are done, they always have 8 holes. So you're going to want to take your number. I have 104 stitches and divide that. That gives me 13 stitches 8 times. And I'm going to do a hole of, I think, 2 stitches wide. So 13, 12, 11. So I'm going to do 11 stitches. I'm going to chain 2, skip the 2, and then reattach here. Actually, looking at it now, I think I'm going to finish the rest of this pattern piece up here before I put those in. Yep. So that's the body of the bag. Next I'm going to do the drawstring itself, and I think I'm just going to do like a braid. Take maybe 3 or 4 strands of each and braid them up. Oh, and I wanted to throw that out there too. I'm not actually doing this. I don't know if there's a certain way that this is actually technically made. I'm just doing it the way it looks like it would be done. Set these off. I'll work all of those in later on. So I have 3 pieces of each color, about 3 feet long. I'm just going to tie a knot a couple inches up, and then I'll give kind of a tassel look. And then I'm just going to braid it. I got the drawstring in. All I have to do now is trim the tassels so those are flat. I think all I have left to do is the strap. I think somehow they wove theirs. I don't want to crochet it because that'll be stretchy. So I think I'm going to make it the way we used to make friendship bracelets. So this has taken me an hour. We're doing something different. Instead of tying the knots like this, I'm going to do, I think it's called an 8-strand braid, except this one's going to be 18 strands. So this is how far I've gotten in an hour, and that's just not going to work. So I'm going to have to use a makeshift weaving loom that I have. I didn't want to use it because I wanted this to be something anybody can make without anything special like that, but it's just not going to work. I mean, it could work if you have the patience, but I don't. So this is how far I've gotten with this. You can see when I started, it comes in. I have a really hard time keeping it straight. So I rigged up this, which is just a regular comb, and I put 1 strand in between each time and taped the back so it wouldn't come off. So I've been using this to bring it up, and then I would pull this one tight. And you can see that's helped a lot. It's evened out. But I'm not liking all of these loose pieces and the knots it's leaving, so I think I'm going to take this part out, maybe leave these and start over. I might just do it white all the way down. I think that might work out better. The loom wasn't big enough to do this all in one go, so I did half of it, and then I pulled it up and kind of suspended it like this. I got it tacked down, and I wound up the new one. I just kind of laced it through the loops that I had left, and I'm going to continue down. You'll be able to notice it a little bit, but I think it'll look better than doing two and sewing them. So I finished my strap. I've got the beginning, the end, and the middle. And I thought I would be clever, and instead of making two and sewing them together, I would just hook it like I showed you. And it didn't look very good. Thinking that would look better than sewing them together, and I think I made it worse. So then I decided to try this and just go kind of every other instead of every individual, thinking it would look better, and I made it worse again. So if anybody tries doing this, keep that in mind. Just do two and sew them together. But this will be right on the shoulder, so not too noticeable, and I think it came out good overall. So I'm just going to take these and sew them on. Okay, so I threw the strap over my shoulder real quick just to see roughly where I wanted it to sit. Okay, I do want this to be the outside. So I've got my center there. Now I can find my side easier because I've got those holes. And I want the bottom of this to be right about lined up with this. I mean, you can put it anywhere. Using the bobby pins. Okay, so there's that. I'll probably start on the bottom to make sure it's squared up to this, and then I'm going to sew across both sides and over, and that's just going to really hold it on there to have both layers. So I've sewed this one on. You can't see it on the top here because when I went in, I made sure to only go behind like these white ones that were sticking on this side. So it's done. I'm pretty happy with it. I like how it came out. You can see the straps on there. No stretch to them at all. The bottom is gonna pop when you put stuff in it. If you really don't want it to, you could get like a wooden disc and put it in the bottom, like one that fits that circle. But that's not gonna bother me, I don't think. Sits at a pretty good height, right on my hip. If any of you guys make one of these, let me know how it comes out.